Welcome back. As we earlier said, we're going to be embarking over the participation of Egypt, represented in President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the 6th EU-AU summit that is held in Belgium, Brussels, and where it gathered world leaders and, of course, leaders of those very important two international communities. Of course, a lot that has been taken in that particular summit, and there was a very important address by the president. He met with several world leaders and in particularly African leaders. The importance of that particular summit is its enforcement and empowerment of the partnership, European partnership with the African one, and taking Egypt as a leading role and a gate to the African continent. We're very delighted to be having with us here our dear guest, Dr. Nevine Nakhla, and she has a doctorate in business administration. Good morning, Dr. Nakhla.
Good morning.
How are you doing? Let us first talk about the importance of that, like I just said, importance of that summit. It is the 6th one, in the sense of its power to gather the African powers with the European one.
Very good. First, I would like to thank Nile TV for being the English voice of Egypt to the world, as usual. The summit, the African Union and European Union summit, is very, very important, yes, because first of all, to strengthen the ties between the two continents, also to assure the global security, and also very important to face the challenges that we are facing in the health areas and the challenges of the COVID-19 and the weaknesses that appeared from the COVID-19. Also, this year summit, you know, the last summit was in 2017 in Côte d'Ivoire. This summit, which took place in Brussels between the African Union and the European Union, had a new way of vision and a new way of sharing, not funding from the European Union to the African Union. No, it's sharing of resources, sharing of knowledge, and the transformation of knowledge from the European Union to the African Union, especially in the health sector, and also the infrastructure of the roads and the transportation. Also, one of the important things that took place in the round tables and in the discussions was the youth. Africa, the population of Africa will reach half the world population, the African continent will reach half the African population, and 60% of the African population are youth. So, and Europe, they are a more aging population, but for Africa it's more youth population. So strengthening the ties between the two continents and the sharing of resources and the global the climate change and the global the going green, and a lot of discussions and preparations. Also, this year's summit, it took so many months of prior preparation to the 2 days that took place in Brussels, Belgium. The summit was very successful, very interactive, and and after the COVID-19 pandemic, all the world knew that we are connected and we live in one world. Anything would happen in one place will affect the whole world. And also one word was said, which I like very much during the summit. You can go fast if you go alone, and you can go far if we go together. So uniting the two continents was very important.
there were important highlights during that particular summit, especially when President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was asked, he was, I mean, the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, and also the President of the European Council, Charles Michel. They asked to meet President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and he sat down with them. There were talks over mutual cooperation, bilateral relations, and partnership in the field of renewable energy.
Yes.
And preserving the environment and the green environment, and also health and education. Those were very, very important fields that are reflecting over the vision of 2030 and standing up to the dangers of climate change. This means that there are mutual understanding between us and the European world represented in the European Union.
Yes, Egypt took a very important role in the summit. His Excellency, our beloved Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, our beloved president, he made so many meetings with all the presidents. He met the Council, the President of the European Union, and a lot of talks and a lot of things that had been approved. And one of the summit initiatives or approvals was choosing 6 countries in Africa to be the hub for the production of vaccines and the production of the mRNA vaccines for the COVID-19. Not only for the COVID-19, because hopefully the COVID-19 will end soon, but also these hubs and production hubs also for the malaria and for the meningitis and other things that can be treated and can be vaccinated from. The 6 countries, Egypt, of course, South Africa, Nigeria, Senegal, Kenya, and Tunisia. And of course, Egypt, because of the geographical place of Egypt, we are
the geopolitical importance is huge.
Exactly, and we are one of the most important hubs in the region, not only to manufacture for self-usage or making self-usage of the vaccines, but also to transfer this and export to the other African countries around Egypt. Regarding the global change, the climate change, and the going green, also this was very important. As you know, Egypt in November, next November, we are the country.
COP27, of course, we're awaiting that.
Awaiting the COP27. And
this actually was going to be another question, so that I'm glad that we jumped into that. The choice of choosing Egypt to host the COP27, next upcoming COP27, inshallah, in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, which is one of the most and hottest issues of the time.
Yes.
Because our #1 priority now is environment, preserving environment, and to stand up to the challenges of climate change.
Exactly.
How do you assess this? I mean, how do you see it? Choosing Egypt to host the COP27?
Of course, it's very important role of Egypt in the area and for the world. Also, Egypt showed regarding the sustainable development and the Vision 2030 of the SDGs, Egypt are working very fast and one of the leading countries in the world and in Africa achieving the goals and achieving the sustainable development. And if we simplify the word sustainable development, it's using the resources but leaving the green resources and leaving the resources for the future, not destroying them, but making sure that it is for our children and for the future. They still have energy, they still have resources. Also, one of the things the summit came out with is the green wall. And of course the renewable energy, the climate change.
The whole world is shifting to renewable energy because we know that other types of energy are going to decline very fast, which is going to affect or change the superpowers very soon. You know, rich countries are going to be suffering in the near future, and other countries with natural resources or with ideas, with a solid background, unified on building, not distracting, is going to be flourishing.
Yes.
And this is the idea of renewable energy. If you like to elaborate.
Yes, and this is why it's a shared interest and shared resources between Africa and Europe. It is not a funding thing, it's a shared resources. Africa is very rich in the wind energy, water energy, so
different
I mean
resources, and even Egypt.
And even Egypt, exactly. Also, they were discussing the green hydrogen, a lot of things that can be benefited and can be taken over. Also, Egypt and Africa, full of youth and full of entrepreneurs, and the European Union encouraging and investing in the entrepreneurs and in the training and in the technology transfer. This will open doors and will open also big things to take place from the youth and the entrepreneurs.
Of course.
And monitoring the projects, private sector and the SMEs, the small and medium enterprises. Very important to encourage the green projects, to encourage the new renewable energy projects of youth. All these are on the agenda and on the action plan.
Right. We need to embark over the most important topics that were taken inside that summit. There were topics that everybody was engaged at. You know, there are certain topics or certain issues now that most of the world countries should get engaged through and should collaborate to be able to solve.
Yes.
If you like to elaborate.
A lot of topics were been negotiated and discussed during the summit. One of the most important topics is the transformation of technology of the mRNA for vaccines, and choosing 6 countries to be the hub in Africa for the production and technology transfer of these mRNA vaccines. The second thing, the investing in the infrastructure and the global way and the infrastructure of roads and the transportation in general. Also the energy investment and renewable energy, of course. Also something very important.
Health and education, of course.
Exactly, health and education. There is an initiative of Green Wall that took place during the summit. Also a very nice initiative, very important initiative, which is called the Hope Initiative for Africa to have radiotherapy for cancer patients. This was one of the very important topics as well. One of the very important things also the training of youth. Training of youth, vocational training, and the assessment of the real needs for the African youth for training and the vocational training especially. Also something very important took place, the immigration, illegal immigration.
Illegal immigration is also.
And how you change this illegal immigration to be legal moving of youth from the African region.
The displacement of youth in general and innocent civilians from one country to another, fighting terrorism and extremism also was tackled. But you raised a very important point, which is you talked about the infrastructure, and which is very important in attracting the foreign investment in any countries. Egypt have taken a leap in that particular and could be taken as a very successful experiment in the sense of establishing a new republic with its own infrastructure and the infrastructure, a complete makeover of the infrastructure of a whole country in only 6 years.
Yes, yes. And this shows the vision of our Excellency, beloved President, and the vision of all the state to reach the 2030 vision of sustainable development. You have to have the infrastructure very well. As you see around the television here, the place was full of like old houses. Now it's
completely renovated.
People are living now in a decent life. The Decent Life Initiative, the presidential initiative of decent life, and how it's taking place. Also, as you are saying, the transportation, the infrastructure, the monorail, the connection of from city to city. Yesterday I was reading that we will reach Aswan in 4 hours, we will reach Alexandria in 45 minutes. This will help even the trade and will put our country on the global trade map better, and will help the economy, because you're not going to waste time, and you will be able to transfer goods from the Sukhna hub to the Alexandria. I mean, we are in the middle of the continent, and our role is very important. So the infrastructure is very important for everything, for the trading, for the investment, for encouraging foreign investment also.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time, but on a promise that you could come once again and we could elaborate more over that very important topic and the achievements and Egypt's participation in enforcing and empowering the rest of Africa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nevine Nakhla. You have a doctorate in business administration. We'd like to thank you so much, and you have a beautiful day. And I guess we're going to take a short break, and we'll come to continue the practice show, so stay with us.